Okay, so with these changes to the class sets in Midnight, I had a question whether or not I could start getting ahead with the Dragonflight Mythic Raid tier sets. So the question is, was Mythic Dragonflight Raid soloable? So when I did this, Turbo Week was not out. The moment this video is uploaded, Turbo Week is released with Lemix. So I did use a DK. It did help a lot. It's not like the best geared, just decently geared from Vaults. I haven't really mythic rated on it at all. To really see if it was actually soloable of these mythic raids. So the first raid that I went and tried was Vault of the Incarnates, the first raid in Dragonflight. For the first boss, it was just a full damage. Like I just damaged the boss and it just fell over. I didn't last for it. I wasn't flasked or use potions for this raid. Try and use the bare minimal of supplies to try and really test the waters in terms of is this really doable? So for Aaron it was just DPS the boss and it just fell over. There wasn't too much to the boss. For Primal Council, it was again just a full target AoE, just kill the boss. Didn't really have to worry about too much of the mechanics. A lot of this raid didn't really damage me all too much. Like my leech enchants were enough to actually get through a lot of the bosses. The only exception was to Dathia. If you don't have an immunity for its Zephyr Slam, you will just get knocked off the platform and die. So a pet class would be able to easily solo this. DKs with Death Advance was able to solo this. If you have more damage, maybe with Lust and Consumables, you may not need to worry about it too much. For Teros, mechanics absolutely did nothing. I just base rolled it, just killed the bot, just damaged the boss and it just fell over. Senath, it was a very interesting one. I was very concerned about this one just because of how the fight played out back in Dragonflight. But when the boss reaches 10% health, she just yeets up to the top of the platform and starts pulsing AoE damage. You just got to run all the way up there. As a DK, it wasn't very fun being a wheelchair class. It didn't do that much damage at all. It was kind of surprising. So I just reached to the top and just killed her off. Gurag was very shocking. You can't. When I was doing this, I just killed the boss before it really did anything important. So the only two bosses that weren't killable were Razageth and Brood Twister. Not Brood Twister, Brood Keeper. Brood Keeper, I was not able to clear the eggs or even damage the ads at all due to the nature of the fight. Hopefully this does get changed in Midnight. Otherwise, you're always going to require a second person. Maybe a pet class would be able to do it with having the pet off in Narnia tanking the boss. Because obviously the entire boss mechanics is you can't kill the boss until all the eggs in the room are gone, which is just a time-based event. Razagath would also have the same very problem with how its intermission is after phase 1. Back in the day, you had to split off into 2 groups. Being solo, you'd have to do both platforms in a very quick manner before Razagath blows up the vault and you just instantly die. So that was Vault of the Incarnates. Every other boss was doable quite easily, besides the last 2. Went and tried Aberrus. It was a bit of a step up. The damage requirement of doing damage to the boss became a lot higher. The first boss, Kazara, it just fell over. Just took some time. Amalgamation was very much the same. It just DPS'd it. Didn't really take much damage. For the Forgotten Experiments, this is going to help a lot more with gear, the increased item level with Turbo Week. Unless you have a magic dispel on yourself, you'll be taking ramping damage throughout the entire fight. So the sooner you can kill the fight, the better. Assault of the Zocali killed the boss before it even did anything. So as long as you get the boss down to 20%, 25%, it does his phase 2 and you just kill him before he does absolutely anything. Rashok was probably the hardest boss, or one of the hardest bosses to actually solo right now. Due to the fact that he does the tank combos, he actually will one hit without it. heavy defensive ability. Let him get to the 100, like you survive until 100 energy, and then the boss just starts pulsing AoE damage. As long as you have a little bit of self-sustain from the pulsing damage in the melees, he basically just turns into a little patchwork fight, and you just end up killing him before like having to worry about any other mechanics. Descan was also doable. You needed to kill the boss before the you basically ran out of room. And the stacking debuff from him himself actually does ramp up and start doing a decent amount of damage. Magmarax is on par with Rashok. To solo this, you need to get him to 100% as quickly as possible without taking too much ticking stacks of the fire. You just tank him in the corner and he'll just start pulsing AoE damage the moment he reaches 100 energy. Deatharian was pretty much the most easiest boss in here, which was actually generally surprising. Like phase 1, you just damage him until he phases. Don't stand and like make sure you go through the walls. Don't stand in the fire. Pretty simple. Phase 2, the boss dominate mines you. I thought this would actually reset the boss. It doesn't. Or I was like too quick on it and quickly broke the shield before he could actually reset. During this, you got to make sure that you actually go through each wall. It's possible either through the tank buster or through the knockback mechanic to make sure to reach the ads so you can actually push it into phase 3. And then phase 3, he just falls over. Not much to that. Stand in the circle if he does his AoE explosion. And then the boss that isn't possible in here right now is Sarkareth, just because of how the fight plays out in phase 2. I did not have the damage to actually push to phase 3 before the bomb in phase 2 came out. So I was getting sent down and resetting it every time. So until that damage check is like met, like it's not possible. With Turbo Weak, it could be possible to do, especially if with Lust and Potion, to be seen, I guess, for now. Did try some Aberrus. Really did Aberrus. Emildrasul. This was another like huge step up from Aberrus. The first boss, making sure you burn all the roots in a timely manner, like moving abilities, like would help a tremendous amount. But there is a lot of damage intake from the first because the intermission is just lasting so long because it is by yourself. But if you're able to survive, like do the intermission, you can easily kill the boss afterwards. Igira was mostly just a tank and spank. Like I just sat in front of the boss, just killed it, just do damage. It did take a long time. Like it took me about 5 minutes to kill it, which was very surprising. Volcaros did try. Its damage intake was actually pretty high. With Lust and Turbo Weak, it would have been quite easily doable. But it's just a huge damage race before you die. I stopped there at Volcaros. And it's like if you pass Volcaros, Larida would probably also be doable. Council of Dreams and Nimue would be huge damage checks as solo. I don't think it's feasible right now with our current gear. It'd probably be a midnight expansion to like really be able to do it. Smolderong probably could be doable right now. And Tinju and Fireack are probably impossible due to how the nature of the mechanics are. Like Brood Keeper, it'd probably be a huge DPS check, but until like get to see it, it's hard to say. It's just spitballing based off what I'm seeing in the previous raids and this raid's first 2 bosses damage wise. Yeah, so at the end of the day, the first 2 raids are soloable as of right now. There are only 3 bosses from the first 2 raids that are not soloable. They will need adjustments from obviously Blizzard to make them soloable. Hopefully they do this in midnight. But until the next video, peace.